Hello and welcome to the most exciting video I've made so far. This time I will be fabricating a custom built stainless steel exhaust system, hopefully gaining more horsepower. But we'll see about that once I put the car on a dynamometer. So the first thing to do was to fit the rear bumper in order to properly measure the tailpipes. Now since this exhaust was not going to be crush bent, these 90-degree elbows were all I could find locally, and templates were made by cutting various angles for testing. The method I used can be seen by proportionally measuring the distances and drawing a line by tying a string at the required angle. I have also made these cones, taken from the original downpipe, to fit the manifold. And there you have it. Now I have each segment and I can choose how long I need to cut it. Now I did them all to show you how it looks like. You need to choose how much you need to cut out of it. So if you need 2, there you go, 2 segments, 4 segments. Now I need 1, 2, 3. Now I cut 3 segments and I'll have the remaining 5. From this I can either choose to cut another 2 or 3 or just cut them all single segment. So in this case I just need to cut these 3 off and keep this one, and for this I can use it for another piece. So after cutting it off, and we'll see how it turns out. With regards to welding, I switched the bottle from CO2 to argon. Now argon is an inert gas as well as CO2, but argon is used to weld stainless steel. Now I also changed the wire. This one's a stainless steel 0.8mm wire. Now this wire, I'll be using it to tack weld the exhaust pipe. So I had to get me an adapter for the gas in order to reattach the gauges. Here's the bracket for the exhaust. Stenciled it out where the holes should be drilled, and this is to support the exhaust downpipes. Now before anyone criticizes my work, keep in mind that I have never ever TIG welded before, nor had any training of any sort. Also, I could not attend TIG welding classes because there was none available at the time. And the few people who knew TIG welding did not want or did not have time to teach me, so what I did was purely by trial and error. So first I experimented with fusion welding by adjusting the ratio between gas and current, and at a later stage I managed to teach myself how to feed the wire. The old downpipe needed to be upgraded, and having a wider bore, new flanges were made out of stainless steel. Now I could have just modified the old flanges to fit, but I did not want to have dissimilar metals. Many mistakes have been made while figuring out the welding process, and many custom cones and properly sized elbows have been sacrificed. But at least when welded, the new downpipe looked decent enough. I have also added V-bends to the edge of the downpipe for a quick release method. Now I also learned that stainless steel warps a significant amount due to the excessive heat exerted. Since some of the edges were not grinded flush, the welding tended to warp the downpipe in an undesirable manner, resulting in a major misalignment of 3 mm. So with that problem, it was back to cutting and shaping.
After working on many angles I can take to connect this piece to this piece, I came up with this one over here. This is still taped. I took the necessary measurements. As you can see, don't know if you can see from inside, it's quite smooth and it has an easy flow to it, and this is how it should look like when welded properly. Like this. And that should look something like the other one over here. So now what I'll do is I'll take this apart one by one and tack weld them into position, and once that's done I'll tack weld it to here and then to here, and this unit will become one. So then the next thing to do afterwards is to just place the hangers.
Once the whole exhaust was set in place, it was fully welded and the rear section fitted with custom-made flanges, because the V-bends could not fit since the pipes were very close to the bodywork. The reason behind these flanges was to make it easy to separate any part of the exhaust if it would need future repairs.
Now that the exhaust is complete up to this section, the next thing to do is to create two matching exhaust tips on either side. So what I've done is I took a tip from another car which has a slight angle cut and used it as a template to see whether it should fit nicely on this hole over here.
Next, a 60mm pipe was used and cut at the same angle of the template. The silencer was then measured and noticed that it was 62mm wide in diameter. So the solution was to stretch the pipe to cover the required area, and since it required a specific angle, it was cut accordingly to fit the hole in the bumper. Here are the stages of which the pipe had to go through in order to reach the desired shape. Also, each pipe was sized accordingly to its particular position.